Welcome to Worktapes. This is a podcast where we tear apart songs. Why was the song written? What's it about? What's the context and emotion behind it? Where were you at the time? What were you going through? How did certain lines come to you? What's the inspiration? How long did it take to write? I'm Brandon Carswell, and I'm fascinated with songwriting and how songs are built from the ground up. It's easy to hear a full production song on the radio and dismiss its origin story. I want to hear the rough draft of the song, or the work tape. I want to explore the very beginning of how songs that move us and make us move are born. Welcome to Worktapes, everyone. I'm Brandon Carswell. As usual, today's guest is one of the foremost bassists in modern bluegrass. From her Grammy-winning work with Molly Tuttle and Golden Highway, to her travels with the Grammy-nominated band Della, her career has spanned nearly 2 decades, crossing more than 20 countries. She's an accomplished songwriter and vocalist, just released her first self-titled solo album. Today we're going to talk about a song called Streets of Boulder and listen to that work tape. Welcome to Worktapes, Shelby Means.
Thank you, Brandon.
How you doing? It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming. You are a bass player primarily.
That's right.
That's what I think most people probably know you from, playing with Molly and the Golden Highway. Give us some of that background before we dive into songwriting.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's really interesting how everyone's songwriting story in this town is different. Everyone's is so different. And a lot of times I find that an instrument is the first thing that appeals to somebody like as a child or even in later years. And then they get into songwriting. Sometimes it's the opposite where they start with songs. What was your experience with that? Let's start with what led you into playing bass.
Great. Yeah.
In the first place. Yeah.
My dad plays the banjo and the guitar, and in the bluegrass tradition, it's very community oriented, and the songs are passed down orally. So you get together and you play music with friends. And so my dad was a good organizer, and my mom helped by cooking. So they would host little jam sessions at our house when I was growing up. And I flirted with a few different instruments. I tried fiddle when I was 5, tried viola in 5th grade. I also started singing in choir in 5th grade and never stopped singing, but fiddle was too hard. Viola, I didn't love. My dad said, the next instrument you learn, you need to learn guitar because you have to know some chords. Even if you don't play the guitar, in a jam, you can look around and see what chords the other people are playing on guitar and know how to fit into the song. So that was his wise advice. So I learned a little guitar. And then when I guess I was 13 or so, and I saw a woman playing the bass at a contest, and that just, I couldn't stop staring at her hands, the way she plucked the strings.
Was it an upright?
It was an upright.
It was an upright.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that drew me in.
How old were you?
I think I was 13.
Okay.
But, well, I didn't tell my parents that I wanted to play the bass for a while until I guess I had an outburst in typical teenage fashion at the dinner table one night. I just said, I guess you don't want me to play the bass because you haven't gotten me one yet. And they were like, what? You want to play the bass? Wow, how did we miss that? So they said, since I had tried so many different instruments and not stuck with them, they said, the bass is kind of a commitment. You know, we're not just going to buy you a bass out of the blue. We want to see if you like it first. So they suggested I call up the junior high school orchestra and see if they had one that I could borrow there. So that was my first bass. I borrowed it from the junior high orchestra.
Commitment meaning it's more expensive?
And
or
yes, it's expensive and big.
Okay, yeah.
It's going to take up a lot of space.
It's
in
another
the house.
piece of furniture.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. So you were 13 when you started on bass. Before that, did you have any interest in songwriting? You said you were singing, so
I think very casual, like just as a little kid, I would make up songs.
Okay. I
don't remember them, but I was always singing and humming and singing words that weren't necessarily songs.
Did you write any when you were young? Like as a kid, do you remember your first song?
I don't remember.
You don't?
No, I wish I did.
Do you remember the first song that you remember writing?
Well, I think I really started trying to write songs in high school.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I had a very intense editor voice, though. And so I never thought anything was good enough.
Okay.
So I have little scraps of things I started. I tried to write a song about my grandpa. I think that's the first song I really tried to write.
Yeah.
And I never...
You didn't finish it?
No, I never liked it.
Okay. So do you feel like... what I'm getting after is like, what was your dream in music? Was the dream that I want to be in a band, I want to play with a group of people, or did you want to be the spotlight? I don't mean that shallow.
No. I think definitely my dream moving to Nashville, I wanted to, so growing up in Wyoming and the Colorado area, I was in a few different bands and I love being in a band. I think the bass its role is not to be in the spotlight. It's a supportive instrument and I like having friends around. So I didn't move to Nashville really with like stars in my eyes and like, I'm going to go out and, write the songs and make the records. I didn't even really realize that. I did have a dream when I was a little kid that I wanted to join the Chicks.
Okay.
But I was so young that I still had my baby teeth and I auditioned and they loved me in my dream. But this was like a literal dream. Auditioned, they loved me, but they said they couldn't hire me because I still had some baby teeth.
Oh.
So yeah, I wanted to join the Chicks. I loved.
That's an interesting dream, like a literal dream that you had.
Yes.
And did you find yourself wanting to be? This is interesting as your story progresses. Just of the little bit that I know,
mm-hmm.
Did you want to be like you wanted to be in an all-girl band? Kind of thing? Was that in your subconscious somewhere?
I guess it must have been.
Yeah.
I certainly couldn't join an all. I mean, I could never be in an all-male band.
Yeah.
But
why not?
Well, I mean, I guess because I'm a woman, and that would change it.
Yeah.
Then it wouldn't be an all-male band.
I got you.
I like a lot of the bands I was in growing up. I was the only girl, but I did a little bit of filling in for just a couple bands, and they all had a mix of women and men playing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really nice to have a balance like that.
Sure.
But let's see. I kind of lost the thread of our...
That's okay. When you got with a...
my dream, kind of coming to Nashville.
Yeah.
I wanted to get better at playing music. That was my dream. I wanted to be surrounded by people who were better than me so that I could level up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I thought really when I moved to Nashville.
What did you want to level up to? What was the goal in getting better?
I think I listened to the Grand Ole Opry when I was growing up, and I wanted to play on the Opry for sure. I don't know. Once I got here, I started going to the jams and meeting people, and then I got swept up in touring gigs and playing with bands and going on the road. And I think that sort of became the dream. Like, the dream, which I didn't realize that I wanted, was like riding around in a bus with a band.
Yeah.
And going to play for thousands of people.
Right.
I love performing. So
do you prefer playing live versus studio work, or is it all the same for you?
Well, actually, I was talking to my friend about this, the difference. For me, there's a big difference. On stage, I'm just the acting kind of involved in performing is really fun for me. And there's an energetic exchange from the crowd to the performers and back. In the studio, it's a little bit more like, the more relaxed I can be, the better. On stage, like sometimes like the bigger the gestures or the more energy you put out, the more the crowd kind of gives back, and it's that sort of thing. But in a recording session, if you're kind of like tense and trying to perform, I feel like it's not going to be as good.
There's
quality.
like a little more science in a session than there is live.
Yeah.
Because once you get to the live show, you've already sussed out all your parts.
Exactly.
So then you just get to play.
Right.
That's fun.
Yeah. No, I like both. I don't think I've done a lot more live performance than I have studio recording.
Yeah.
But I really like doing both things.
As you moved into more songwriting, did traveling help you with that? Did it influence your ability to write a different kind of lyric?
I think the experiences that I gained from all the travel and performing and meeting people across the world certainly inspired me.
Yeah.
In a creative way to write about those experiences and things I witnessed where we don't speak the same language but feel the same feelings.
Right.
I think that's really cool, and I think that something about melody is really powerful because you can really communicate feelings and emotions through, I think, melodies and chords. So you don't necessarily have to know the language to get the vibe. And that's important, I think, for my songwriting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool, like all the bands that you're in, it's cool that of what I've seen, you mentioned being more of like the bass is like a support system for the band. And that's true, but sometimes there are bands where each player is their own star, so to speak. And I think that of the groups that you've been with, that feels like each member is their own. I don't know how to phrase that exactly, but because you were talking about leveling up, and then you've made this new record, which I want to talk to you about also, but that's kind of what it takes is each member of the band, like you're not just in the band for someone else. Like when I watch live videos of y'all, it feels very much like a unit, you know, like but each person is also shining.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Can you kind of speak to that and how you work with the other people that you work with and how you guys come up with songs? Are you co-writing with those bands?
Starting back to my first bands here, Della, I was writing songs then, but they kind of had the writers in a way for that band. I joined after. The bass players are always changing. I don't know what that is, but it does feel like in bands there's always like the bass players shifting a little bit. So I came in, and
there's too many jokes about bass players. So.
Yes. Well, if at least in bluegrass we have the banjo players to pick on.
There you go.
But I wasn't involved much in writing in that band, but I still love arranging and harmony singing. And that is, you're writing parts in a way. So creatively, that was a good way to work with that band. And when I joined, we were getting ready to make a record with Brian Sutton producing, and he came up, did some pre-production, and then we got into the studio, and that was totally an amazing process to be a part of. That was my first real like studio recording with a producer, and that was such a learning experience, learning how to work with each other when we've been performing for a while, but then getting into the studio, putting everything under a microscope. It's really intense.
Right.
So it was a good learning experience in that way. And then after Della May, I did Sally and George, which is my duo project with my husband. And that was a lot more co-writing. And since it was just the two of us, we each had a lot more freedom to say things and to write songs and bring songs to the table and arrange and all of that. But then it was just the two of us doing all the work.
Right.
So it was, there's a lot involved in that. But I think I started honing my co-writing then. And we were living in Nashville and would get together with Nashville songwriters and do 3-way co-writes, and just a lot of those turned out really good. I've worked with Melody Walker and Robbie Hecht, and I really enjoy co-writing. And there's something about having constraints, like we're here, we're in this space, but we want to leave. So we want to finish with something.
Right.
So just like trying to get through and finish.
Yeah, there's something I was listening to or reading while I was listening to Jeff Tweedy's book about, I forget what it's called now, about songwriting and how sometimes he'll purposefully set limits for himself. And he'll say, oh, I have an extra 5 minutes before lobby call or whatever. Let me see what I can get done in 5 minutes before I go downstairs. And that's such an interesting kind of project to set for yourself, and having those deadlines. I write a lot of solo songs or by myself, so it's easy not to finish something. It's easy to go, well, I can't think of this right this second, so I'll just put it down for a while. Yeah. Which is sometimes good too.
For me, especially the songs on my record, some of them were complete in my notebooks and others sat for years. Yeah. But I really liked them. I really liked what I had. And I had such high expectations for what the rest of the song, like it had to stand up to that first verse that I wrote.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it took me years to finish.
Yeah.
And I remember working, especially on High Plains, Wyoming, like over and over, trying to match the first verse. And I finally found like 2 other verses that I'd written. Were like, whoa, those are good. I like them. Yeah. Okay, shit. Now, what do I do for the chorus? Right. Sorry, I don't know if I...
Oh, you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine. No apologies. Do you as far as craft goes, do you like the craft of songwriting more than playing bass? Are you enamored with bass, or are they kind of one and the same, feeding each other?
That's such a good question. I think like it is interesting. The physical aspect of playing the bass is becoming more and more challenging to me as I get older. It's so I think possibly where I've leaned on the bass as my crutch, like my go-to, it's how I get gigs and that sort of thing. Songwriting isn't like a physical process, but you still need the tools and the technical aspects like you would with the bass. So I feel like, I don't know, I think it's been bass, and possibly songwriting may start to take over.
Okay.
Going forward.
Well, I mean, if that happens, are you going to miss bass?
Yes.
You're just always
I never want to quit
that.
playing the bass.
Yeah.
I hope
you just
I can
want
play
like
it when I'm
smaller one.
Yeah, exactly. They have quarter size.
Yeah.
And they're smaller. They're so cute. They still sound really good. Probably easier to fly with, easier to fit in a car. Yeah. And
do you have to buy
two? Lift up
do you have
on
to buy
stage.
2 plane tickets to carry your bass around, or can you check?
No, my bass has a bolt-on neck.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So if I fly, I have to loosen the strings, pull out the end pin, take the bridge off, and then unbolt the neck. And that comes completely off. And then they all fits in this travel case. That's hard.
Oh, that's wild.
But it does cost sometimes, depending on the airline, it can cost more than the ticket itself.
I know nothing about upright. I've messed with them and I'm like, I can't do this. It's too much. I'll just take the P bass all day. That's just easy.
Yeah, so true, so true.
Has the sound. As far as bluegrass goes, I think that you're one of my first guests that are pretty exclusively bluegrass music. And I love bluegrass. A lot of my family grew up on bluegrass and Southern gospel music, so I know it. I was around it. I never have played it because I think that bluegrass is such a technically difficult genre of music when it comes to harmonies, playing off each other. Especially when it's real, like the real deal stuff is, especially live, they know when and how far to walk up to the mic. Like if nothing's plugged in, I love that.
Yeah.
I'm always very curious though, in any genre that someone chooses or was chosen for them based on their upbringing, what other genres influence you that might surprise your fans? Like, are you secretly a metal junkie? I want to know, like.
I have a soft spot for old, like, rock and roll.
Okay.
When I was in college, I think that was my rebellion against my parents, just country and bluegrass exclusively. Right. Listening to, like, Emmylou Harris and Flatt and Scruggs and Alison Krauss and Union Station growing up. When I got into college, I was like, what is this Led Zeppelin all about?
Yeah.
And I really did some deep diving there and found, what do you know, like mandolin and kind of throw back to some roots music in their music. And I loved that.
And then he ends up working with Alison Krauss, making one of the best records ever.
Serious. Like, for me, that's just perfect. Yeah. But yeah, I like
rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Okay. Yeah, I'm into that.
I love reggae also. It's really
that's a hard
fun
one
to
too.
listen to, but as a bass player, like
difficult.
Yeah, really difficult and completely different than bluegrass bass.
Right.
To try and stretch my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
Just try and play reggae.
Have you ever been hired to play for something that's not bluegrass that was a super challenge?
A lot of so upright bass was my first instrument, and getting hired on electric is always, it gets me a little excited. I'm like, okay, I really got to practice this.
You like get your leather jacket out. You're ready to go.
Yes,
rock and roll.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that. Let's talk about this song, Streets of Boulder.
Cool.
Before we talk too in depth about this and the Worktape, take us through the story of, I'm gonna make a solo album. I'm gonna make my own record. What was that? Was that a long time dream? Was it an epiphany that you had? Why do you want to do it?
Like I said, I didn't move to Nashville necessarily with like a bag of songs, my guitar, and I didn't have that, like, I'm going to be a star thing in my head. I just wanted to play music with better musicians than myself. And I don't know, I was touring with Molly Tuttle and Golden Highway, and when I joined that band, it left my husband in a spot where I wasn't available to play in our duo as much.
Right.
And so he was sort of scratching his head thinking, what am I gonna do? And he had a batch of songs, and he'd been playing a lot with Maya DeVitri, and asked her if she would produce a solo record for him. I'm not sure what made him want to do it, but he started the process, and I thought that was really cool. And I was also talking to Bronwyn Keith Hines a lot, the fiddle player in Molly Tuttle and Golden Highway, and she had made a solo record a few years earlier, and it was all fiddle tunes. But she was saying, I want to make a solo record, but this time I think I'm going to sing.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's really cool. I can sing. I have songs. So it just, Joel making his solo record and Bronwyn doing hers, and then getting more comfortable with recording and going into the studio with Molly and Jerry Douglas producing. It got me thinking that I wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. And I was also able to, because I was touring so much, I was just able to save money. So it takes a lot of money to make a good record.
Yeah.
And I'm a perfectionist when it comes to sound and songs. And just, if I was going to make a bluegrass record, I wanted it to be really good.
Right.
So I saved up money, and I enjoyed watching Maya DeVitri produce Joel, and thought that she could do a good job. I thought about Jerry or Brian, the people that I'd worked with in the past producing, but in the end, I wanted Maya because I felt really comfortable with her as a person. And for me, like I was saying earlier, the more relaxed I can be in the studio, the easier I feel in the studio, the better I feel that the product is. So I just tried to, surround myself with that ease. Yeah. Because I knew I would be totally nervous going in and trying to play with.
Sure. I think that people that don't have that experience, like even if you're around it or you've recorded before, but it's not your songs and it's not your session, there's a lot of intimidation when you walk in the room, even with a producer you're comfortable with. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, even when you write a song and you show it to someone and you're kind of wondering what they're going to think, and you're kind of wearing your heart on your sleeve. That happens in the studio, but it's like, it doesn't stop until you're done and it's heavy, right? Yeah. So to take that, years of touring and playing and supporting the artist who's writing the songs or whatever and doing your own thing, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And did you have anxiety about that? Did you feel like, oh, I belong here? Or were you kind of
yes,
back and forth?
I think probably both.
Yeah.
Maya really made me feel confident that we had a record. I was worried about the songs. I didn't want them to be all too much the same. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. That was just in my brain. I was like,
do you feel like a lot of bluegrass music feels the same?
I don't know why I was worried about that. I think it can.
Sure.
Certainly people that aren't steeped in the bluegrass, that don't know bluegrass very much, it all just sounds really fast to them.
Yeah. Same kind of chord structures, give or take. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes there's minor, but sometimes it's major, but it's fast and it's exciting. And what are they even singing about? I don't know. Like, lyrics in bluegrass sometimes aren't like, at least the old bluegrass.
Yeah.
They're good stories, but not like, I don't know, the most interesting lyrics often. But I didn't want my stuff to sound too much the same.
Yeah.
And I was worried about saying the same words over and over, because I've never put a group of songs together to make a record. And I'm just like, I didn't want to make mistakes.
Sure. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a great record. Were you happy with it?
Definitely.
You love it?
I do. I love it. Yeah.
You should love it. If anybody should love it, you should love it.
Yes, exactly.
It's a great record. This song is super great too. I listened to the record when the day your management reached out to me. I listened to whatever I could find.
Cool.
And Streets of Boulder was like, it was like a no-brainer. That's the one I wanted to. I always tell the guests, like, whatever you want to talk about is fine, but here's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
It'll be great if we both love the song that we talk about. Where did this song come from? Did you co-write it? Was it just you?
It was just me.
Just you.
Yep. I was in college and was in a band at that time, and the main songwriter in that band gave me a few tips because I was really inspired by some of the bluegrass bands that I'd heard coming through the Wyoming area, and one was called the Cherry Homes. And so I had this idea of a type of song that I wanted to write that was kind of like a song that the Cherry Homes did. And so I got the first verse, and of course I'd had like the experience. I, broke up with a boyfriend, and so I wanted to write about that. Why not? And in bluegrass, I always got to write a train song.
Yes.
So the train made it into this song. I didn't know what to do when it came to the chorus. So my friend said, well, sometimes you can ask a question. And I thought, that's a good idea. I'll ask 4 questions.
Yes.
Who am I? So that's how I got there. And I think one nice thing about some bluegrass songs is they can be short and simple. The chords on Streets of Boulder aren't necessarily totally simple, but there's 2 verses and a chorus, and that's all.
Yeah.
It's straightforward.
It's a simple song, but it's also not at the same time to me. How about we listen to the Worktape, and then we'll dive in a little deeper on the actual song. Here's the Worktape of Streets of Boulder.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I left you in the pouring rain upon the streets of Boulder, cursing life, wanting love, leaving this town. The lonesome whistle cries, blotting out your haunting memory, and the train moves on and on. Who am I to leave you all alone? Who are you to watch me walking out? How are we to know it won't work out this time? Who are we to know what love is all about? 1,000 miles away, a million memories linger, leaving you loving me is more than I can stand. But I won't take you back, still I'm crying cold and lonely, and the train moves on and on. Who am I to leave you all alone? Who are you to watch me walking out? How are we to know it won't work out this time? Who are we to know what love is all about?
Love this Worktape. I noticed when we listened down to it earlier that you left a lot of room in there, which is what you were just talking about before we played it. So this doesn't always happen with a Worktape when you write a song, but it sounds like you had production in mind as you're demoing that, right?
Right.
Because you left room for all the parts.
Definitely. Yeah, it was one of the only songs that really had the lines already written. And I talked with Maya, my producer, and said, should we leave those in or should we take them out? And she said, I think we should leave them in since it's one of the only ones. It's such a classic bluegrass thing to have these lines that couple people play together, and so we definitely, we had it in mind, and we had to be really organized when we went into the studio with who plays what solo and who takes what part, because we only had 3 days with the full band to track 13 songs. So it was...
You did 13 songs in 3 days?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That's
really
busy.
Insane. It was busy. 4 or 5 songs a day.
Wow.
And then I did vocals and a few overdubs on like arco bass in a few different days.
That's work. Did you even take a lunch break?
We
That's
did.
a lot.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, I know if you eat good, you play good.
Yeah.
So I hired Juniper Green to cater.
Nice.
And we had good lunch.
That's
but
fun.
It was already there and prepared. Like we didn't have to think about it. That's how I wanted it to be.
That's great. My favorite line in this song is "Leaving you loving me is more than I can stand," which when you don't think about it, doesn't sound like much. But if you think about it and have had even a taste of that kind of experience, it's a very, that's a big line. It's a deep line. Do you have a favorite lyric in the song?
Gosh. I like that one, yeah.
It's a good one.
I almost thought about naming my record that.
That's a good...
Leaving you, loving me.
That's a great, actually.
I had to explain it a little.
You can make merch off of it.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
T-shirts, whatever.
And I like it because it's, well, in the song, I'm doing the leaving and the boyfriend is still in love. But I it's hard to break up. Breakups are,
of course,
painful.
Well, you have like an affection. Like, of course, there are some breakups where you need to get out, and you want to get out, and you know it's the best thing. Some of them are you need to get out, but you don't want to get out.
Right. Yeah.
And leaving you loving me is like, it just shows like, this is my take, and then you just tell me if I'm way off base. You know you got to go, but you still have a really strong affection for this person.
Yeah.
And also like it kind of breaks your heart to break theirs.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah, like they didn't really do me wrong,
right.
So, but it's just people change and you got to move on, and it's more than I can stand.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to do it.
Exactly. How much of it was true? I mean, you said it was a breakup with a boyfriend. Did you break up? Here's what I'm envisioning.
Yes.
It's good imagery. Like the lyrics is great. And it's like 1920s train platform.
Yeah.
And you're jumping on a train hanging out the window.
Not very much of it is true, sadly. Okay. But I wasn't in Boulder.
Yeah.
I think he did live in Boulder. But I have, I'm a creative and I have an imagination, try to tell the story. You want to have a good hook. What's better than the image of a girl and a guy like standing in the pouring rain in the middle of the street breaking up?
That's what songwriting, that's the greatest thing about songwriting. It can be as true as you want to make it. Folsom Prison Blues wasn't exactly true.
Right.
But it sounds true.
Yeah.
Cash used to get all those letters from inmates and made a whole thing off of it.
Right.
It's amazing. That's how storytelling works. And bluegrass is so full of storytelling songs. I think that's where I learned to write anything story related.
Cool.
Was like Doc Watson. Nobody writes like that anymore. You can't write about murder. But those stories are so vivid.
Froggy went a courtin'. I don't know why, but it just so vivid and simple and something that we can relate to. I mean, we do like, there are some things that like the murder ballads that aren't PC so much anymore, but there is terrible. The reality of our world is that stuff is still happening. Yeah. And if we don't write about it, I don't know, there's something, it's not, I kind of just wish that we could change the world for the better with music and with songs. But
it's going to take honesty. It's just like in comedy. If you regulate everything to, we can't talk about this because it might offend somebody. Well, Doc Watson's stories, those murder ballads, whatever, they're real stories. It doesn't, just because it's offensive it's borderline offensive to hear a song about a man killing his wife.
Mm-hmm. And getting away with it.
And then that's on the record. Like someone, and I understand the processing it takes to be like, but this is a story. Maybe it actually happened. And maybe someone can actually relate to this. It's not so far-fetched to think, just because we don't talk about these things in our day-to-day conversations don't mean they're not happening.
Right.
And I think I could be massively wrong about this just based on the kind of music I listen to, that kind of pop culture storytelling songs are getting lost in that. Like they're they're more of a subculture to me. It's not that there's not a story in mainstream music, but it just seems a lot more shallow. You know?
Yeah. I think there's a bit of sometimes there can be a formula for songwriting in mainstream music that, and I don't know what it is, because we're all deep humans. And I think that if story songs were, some of my favorites 90s country songs were the story songs, and they would make me cry and I would feel it really. But I don't know why we're kind of getting away from that. But I think that's one of the best parts of music.
Do you think it's because, and I'm just like, this is off the cuff, do you think it's because people want to disconnect from their own? I feel like this might be too deep for this podcast.
No.
I feel like we're so overstimulated with information every second of the day that we need to check out. And we don't want to think too deep about what we're listening to in music. Let me just turn something on and work out or whatever I'm doing. And I've always been the opposite of that. Give me the saddest song you can throw at me. It doesn't make me sad. It makes me happy, but because there's something that happens in that emotion, or you hear it and it takes you somewhere else. And I don't know. I just think like the social media and all the info that we're just getting blasted with, we don't take the time to get intellectual about what we're consuming. And then it just repeats this cycle of, give me the most shallow thing so I can go to bed.
And a lot of it isn't the consumer's fault sometimes. I think that like music just gets pushed, and one of my lines on my husband's record, Joel Timmons, I wrote a song and started it out in the ocean. I was sitting on a boat and watching him surf, and the waves were high. And so the line that came to my head was, disappear into the white water double overhead. You don't have to listen to the music that you're being fed. I don't know. And we really don't, because we have the streaming, as problematic as it can be for paying artists, is amazing because you can discover anything on the internet. Listening to the radio is a little bit more of that, like spoon-fed type of stuff. But I do appreciate Bluegrass Junction and some Sirius XM for spinning Streets of Boulder. Thank y'all.
I think that just to piggyback on that conversation a little, is roots music like Americana, bluegrass, folk, feels like to me right now that it's going to have another, not that it's disappeared or at risk of that, but I think it's going to bloom a little more with AI and with kind of shallow music. I think people have always craved authenticity, and it's just going to level up because right now, I mean, it's getting harder to tell the difference between what's real and what's not as far as AI is concerned.
Absolutely.
But we can still tell the difference right now.
Right now, yeah.
And as fun as some of it is, like, we just want real music.
Yes.
We want authenticity. I want to know a human made it. I want to go watch it. I want to listen to your mess ups. This is why that's why I made this podcast, because the demo is so interesting and the work tape is so interesting because most of the time it's just like the raw passion. Like, a lot of times it's right when you wrote it or shortly thereafter, you're still excited about it. And then you spend 3 days in the studio and you, with all your scientists and lab coats and you make it into a thing that you're excited, but it's not the same as when you're sitting in the writing room or your bedroom and you've got this new, fresh thing, you know?
Totally.
So I think that roots music, especially, and maybe some like super raw rock and roll is going to have a resurgence. And
or at least survive.
It'll
AI.
survive. I think humans will survive because humans have to survive.
Yeah.
So,
and what's better than connecting? Like like you were saying about listening to a sad song and it doesn't make you sad, it makes you happy. I can relate to that because if something sad is going on in a song and I've felt that feeling before, knowing that someone else went through it,
right?
It's like, oh, we're connected. We're all humans. We're experiencing this.
Exactly.
Same things kind of together. And that's important to remember.
100%. I agree. Before we sign off, what do you have going on? So you've released the record, which is fantastic. Everyone should go find it, stream it, listen to it a few times. Are you on tour? What's going on?
Yeah, I did a great album release show last Wednesday here in Nashville, and now I'm headed west, taking a trio out on tour for most of the summer. We're playing in Wyoming, Colorado, and Utah. Got some fun shows out that way, and looking forward to also fitting in a little bit of exploring, hiking, and hanging out in nature.
Nice.
Always try to balance the tour life with some hikes and and
you have to. You'll go crazy if you don't.
Exactly.
You got to get out there.
Yeah. And I'm already looking forward to what's next, writing more songs and hopefully putting together more songs to release into the world.
Well, thanks for coming. Thanks for doing this. And hope to have you back next time. Anytime you want to talk about a song.
Well, thanks for having me. And anybody that's interested in my tour schedule can go to my website, shelbymeans.com.
Cool.
You can find that information. And also, if you want to check out the store, I have records and CDs for sale.
Great. And I'll put that stuff all in the show notes so it's easy to find.
Amazing.
Cool. Thanks so much, Shelby.
Well, thank you.
This episode of Worktapes is produced by me, Brandon Carswell. Production assistance by Jonas, Litton. This episode was recorded in Nashville, Tennessee at Soundstage Studios. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Worktapes everywhere you listen.